What's up, everybody? Thanks again for stopping by for another edition of March 4th with Mike Bauman. I, of course, am your host, Mike Bauman. Whoever you are, wherever you are listening from, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. If you're a returning listener, I greatly appreciate your continued love and support. And if you're a brand new listener of the show, man, thank you so much for hopping aboard that pirate ship. You can follow me on Instagram at March 4th Pod, on YouTube at March 4th Pod. My website is march4th.podbean.com. The link tree with all of my stuff is in the podcast description for this episode. Y'all made it here, so you found me somehow, and I truly appreciate each and every one of you checking out another edition of the March 4th with Mike Bauman podcast. I hope that everybody's doing great out there. We are officially at the week of Thanksgiving. So, for those of you out there who celebrate Thanksgiving, I really hope that everybody has a safe travel situation, whether you're driving, flying, boating, swimming, jet packing, hoverboarding. You get the drift. I hope that everybody gets to where they're going safely. I hope you have a good time with your family. I'm messing with the levels a little bit here. There we go. I turned myself up a little bit. But I hope that everybody has a safe holiday travel season, man. It's always a busy time of the year, and I know it can be kind of hustle and bustle. That's why I love that movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, a classic with Steve Martin and John Candy. If you haven't seen it, for you youngins out there who aren't up on the '80s movies because it was before your time, it's weird that there's kids born today where the '80s to them is like the '50s and '60s for me as an '80s baby. I digress, but I hope that everybody has a good time, man. I'm a big Lions fan. No, I didn't hop on the bandwagon. If I'm on the bandwagon, I've been on the bandwagon since like '97 because Barry Sanders is one of my favorite athletes, not just football, one of my favorite athletes ever. And I became a Lions fan as a kid because of Barry Sanders. I loved Barry Sanders, loved playing with him on Madden, and I've stuck with him through thick and thin, including the winless season several years back when I think that was the year Orlovsky, who's now a great analyst on TV, ran out of bounds in the Minnesota Vikings game in the end zone, I think it was. But yeah, man, the Lions are on Thanksgiving. You get for me, I'm a big stuffing guy. I love some good stuffing with some gravy. That's probably my favorite. Love pumpkin pie. Here in the South, they've got like chess pie and pecan pie. But back in the Midwest where I'm from, man, it's all about that pumpkin pie and the apple pie. So my fellow Midwesterners who are listening to this, hit me up on Instagram. Let me know at March 4th Pod. What kind of pie do you like? You like pumpkin pie, pecan pie, chess pie? What are you doing? But I think my fellow Midwesterners will agree. Pumpkin pie is where it's at. But yeah, hope everybody has a great time with family and friends. Get some time off work. I'm really fortunate that at my job we have Thursday and Friday off, which is nice. Because for a few years there, I had to work on Black Friday, and it actually wasn't bad because it was really quiet. It was kind of a good day to catch up on stuff because you didn't get a lot of emails, but it's nice that I don't have to use it as a PTO day. You know what I mean? So I'll get a chance to get back to the Midwest, see some fam, eat some foods, and then we've got a great college football Saturday after that for you pigskin fans out there, man, with the Ohio State and Michigan game. And even though I don't got a horse in that race because I'm a Notre Dame and Toledo guy, and my alma mater is the University of Toledo, and they're doing really really well right now. They had a big comeback win against BG and only got one loss, so there's a chance they could have a New Year's Day bowl. I don't know if it's going to happen because of their strength of schedule, but that would really be cool because it's a really good team. Their only losses to Illinois. So, anywho's, I know I'm jumping around a lot, you guys. I did have my coffee today. Okay, didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express, but I did have my coffee. That's probably an outdated reference there, Mikey, with the Holiday Inn Express. That was an old commercial nobody's going to remember. Okay, but but for realsy, hope everybody's doing good. And thank you to everybody who is rocking with the podcast. It's been really cool to see the show continue to grow. A lot of it's been organic. I've not spent a ton of money or invested a ton of time in marketing this bad boy, which is going to change here soon. I've got some stuff in the works of trying to continue to just reach out to people and get out of my own way and provide you guys quality content and put you on to new bands and new artists and uplifting stories that hopefully inspire you guys to chase your dreams. And I want to give a shout out to the fine people over at Bold Journey for featuring me. I just was featured with those guys talking about my path with the podcast and having a grateful mindset. And yeah, it just feels cool that people are catching on to the show, man. So thank you to all of you who are tuning in right now and listening to me rant because I love doing this. I love talking to the guests of the podcast, and anytime somebody takes time out of their day to put me in their eardrums, I hope they have an enjoyable experience, and it means a lot to me, man. I really love doing this show. So thank you to all of you who take the time to like and subscribe and tell your friends and leave a rating and a review and tune in. It really means a lot and it helps the show. So on that note, speaking of new bands and just putting people on new music, anytime I get a chance to feature somebody from my neck of the woods in the Midwest, especially when they're from my home state, I get really jazzed about it. And these guys are from my home state. They are none other than the Static Wake out of Cleveland, Ohio. In particular, on this one, we've got JJ who plays guitar and Radames who is on the vocals. And I love what these guys are doing. They just came out with their record, Sea of Fractured Dreams, in October, and their single Wraith might be, and I'm not just saying it because these guys are awesome and I had a great conversation with them, but their single Wraith might be my favorite song of the year in terms of new music that's come out in 2023. I love Wraith. You can listen to it on Sea of Fractured Dreams, um, but it's a great front to back listen. Their EP One Last Breath came out back in 2020. That's a great listen as well, and the visualizer for Wraith, it is, I think, over 16,000 YouTube views right now. But there's a lot of great songs in their catalog, man, and they've got some really cool slower guitar moments. They've got obviously great breakdowns and great hardcore vocals as a metalcore band. Some of those slower guitar moments that I like it are in Lifeline, Demons, and Wraith. But yeah, dudes, I'm stoked for these guys. They've had some big shows recently. They played with He Is Legend, who I love. Shout out my buddy Ryan from Tropic Bombs, who put me onto those guys years ago. But they had a show with He Is Legend back in the summer. They also had a gig where they played with Attila. They played with Until I Wake, Softspoken, and they've got a show coming up for the album release show for Night Rider in December in Lakewood, Ohio. So, it's cool to see these guys playing live gigs. And as you'll hear on the show, they enjoy that live experience. They bring it live. And yeah, man, again, I'm just a big fan of what these guys are doing. Sea of Fractured Dreams, like I said, is a great front to back listen. And it was a great follow up to One Last Breath. And that came out right at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. So it's cool to see these guys soldier forward, keep making great music, and continuing to improve on their craft with the talent that they have. So without further ado, I'm going to shut my big yapper and give you guys my conversation with JJ and Radames of the Static Wake. Here it is. All right, fellas. Well, thanks again so much for taking the time to do the pod, man. Like I said, it's Johnny's been a big supporter of the show and has gotten me in touch with a lot of really awesome bands like yourself. And anytime I see anybody from either the Midwest or my home state of Ohio as a Toledo native and an Ohio native doing their thing and making some noise, it's really cool. So thanks for joining the show, man.
Of course, man. Thanks for having us on.
For sure.
You're welcome. Well, before we officially dive deep, why don't you guys tell the audience your name and what you play in the band, and then that way when you speak, they know who's talking.
Uh, the band is so we're the Static Wake. We come out of Cleveland area, Ohio. Like we were talking about earlier, JJ is actually from Columbus, but I am Radames. I'm the vocalist.
And JJ, I play guitar sometimes. Not very well.
I disagree. There's some awesome gnarly riffs on what you guys do, man. And there's some cool slow guitar moments like Lifeline, Demons, even the intro to Wraith. I love that. I'm a big fan of like the slow atmospheric guitar before it gets heavy. There's some of my favorite heavy songs have those in it, so I dig it. But
Yeah, man.
you got several axes hanging up on the wall there for people can't see, but you've got
Yeah, man.
It's like a telly.
It's my home studio. I have it's an agile. Oh God, where am I? Agile 7-string, a ESP Telecaster, if you believe it or not, and a 5-string bass, and a Stephen Carpenter 7-string, and a piece of crap Ibanez, plus others.
I was gonna ask you guys what tunings you play and if you mixed it up because Wraith even sounded like when it gets into that dum dum, it
It's
kind of
a
sounds the B.
G.
Oh, okay. Is that on the 7-string then?
Uh, no, yes and no. Fun fact: we play it live on the 6-string, and we drop tune it digitally.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, I
it
was gonna.
it was
That was super low, but it's still got the melody in there.
yeah, I think JJ recorded it on a 7-string.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
But just for simplicity's sake, we just pitch shift the 6s down because I don't think we really used the top string, so that it wasn't really.
So let me go back a little bit. So for you dudes, how I always like to ask people, how did you get into the heavier stuff? Like, what was the bug that bit you?
JJ, you can go first.
Me? Okay. I kind of went through puberty in the MySpace era, where you could find literally anything and everything. So I found metal and mostly deathcore. I'm a deathcore kid through and through. Um, yeah, before that, my dad used to listen to like Def Leppard and the hair metal stuff, so I was always kind of around it. But it wasn't until about 14 that I actually like got into it. A lot of Whitechapel, a lot of all that stuff.
Oh, is the law.
Speaking of, there's
Oh, you got the tat.
I have this all.
As for me, I want to say I was in 4th or 5th grade, and I had listened to like, your Metallica, 3 Days Grace, like some of the more, I don't want to say basic because all those bands are awesome, but like more entry level type of stuff. But I want to say I was in like 4th or 5th grade the first time I heard Slipknot, and first time I heard Slipknot, I think it was the Disaster Pieces DVD that they released. It was a live concert video from London, and saw their stage show and saw how cool they looked and how insanely heavy their music was, and I'm just like, oh god, it ruined my life. Let's put it that way.
Instant boner.
Man, 4th or 5th grade for Slipknot too. That's a young age to be
It was
hitting.
it was pretty young, yeah. Probably
But
probably a little younger than my parents would have liked.
But you know what though? I think, and I'll ask you guys this because that's like a good segue. Is like, at least for me, heavy music has always been, and it's kind of way I describe it to people. Um, Not to sound like a broken record for people who have listened to the show before, but it really is a positive release of negative emotion, and I think they've even done studies that have shown like metal fans are the most loyal in terms of like buying the merch or buying the records, going to shows, but they're also of the different genres. And people can fact check me on it. I'm not just talking out of my butt here. Like, but that people that listen to heavier music are also calmer compared to like the other genres. And I think it's because you get that all out, whether you're playing it or you're listening to it. So I can only imagine for you guys what that catharsis is like when you play live and you're able to emote through that and then see people connect with your songs. That's got to be pretty tripped out.
I'll tell you what, it's made me probably more calm than I ever was as a kid, for sure. I can't say I'm like fully an adult. I'm 26, so I mean, still people still might consider me a kid, but it's definitely given me a much needed outlet that I probably wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah, man.
Oh, go ahead, JJ.
No, I was just gonna echo. Yeah, it's really dope. Going nuts on stage and watching people sing the lyrics back to you. It's pretty dope. It's pretty cool.
And what age were you guys, or about what time were you when you started to get into like the musicality of things as far as playing or, like actually like going from being a fan of it and going, oh God, I like that, to going, oh wow, I think that this is something that I want to do, like, and do for other people and play live and join up with other people and do a band.
I want to say I was like 14 or 15 whenever. So I was in back before I started listening. I was already in like choir and stuff like that, so I'd already kind of started dabbling with it, with just music in general. But I think around the time I hit 14, I got my first like electric guitar, and I think I tried playing the acoustic prior, and I got really bored and just got disinterested really quick. But after I got my first electric guitar and like your first amp that makes a distorted tone, I was all
Spider?
into it. Yeah, no, it wasn't a Spider. It was a crate.
Oh,
It was a crate. But after that, after I got that distorted tone, and I was able to mess around with it and just do my thing. I was all in. I was playing like for hours every day and not doing anything else. Like I'd get home from school and then just play till I got to go to bed.
yeah. I started learning to play when I was 11. So 20 years now. And I joined my first awful deathcore band when I was 15. And we didn't do very, it was almost nothing, but we played. And then honestly took a 12-year hiatus. I hadn't been in a band since that band until joining these guys. If you can believe that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you're just playing on your own up until like just
Yeah.
playing music up until
I
then?
I also record, if you can see all this stuff. So it's mostly that and not really playing live. So
Yeah, he also has a YouTube channel, so that was how I kind
no,
of.
he doesn't.
Yes, he does. I kind of before we brought him in, I kind of stalked his YouTube channel a little bit. I watched all those sleep token covers. And, oh wait, no, you did that after you joined, didn't you?
I don't know.
I swear to God. Anyway, yeah, check him out, JJ Jacobs on YouTube.
Okay.
Free shout out.
Yeah. Didn't plan that, I swear.
Actually,
Hey,
didn't.
the video content's where it's at though, man. I always feel like I'm lagging from that end. But up until this year, I was using a computer that had Windows 7 on it. So I think if I'd uploaded any video content, I would have just gotten lit up by the trolls. Like, yo, it's pixelated, you suck. So
Using
I
Movie Maker.
pretty much I hang on to everything, you guys, until it falls apart. I just had my car. It was an '07, had the Fuge for gosh, I got it. It was 5 years old, had it for over a decade. Had the computer. It was a graduation present from college, the old computer, 2010. What else? I just had to get a new TV. That sucker was 8 years old. So, but anyway, this ain't about me. But so Radames, like, and I want to make sure I pronounce that correctly,
You
right?
surprisingly you got it spot on,
I
which
nailed
never
it.
happens.
I was like, I'm pretty sure it was Radames, but I want to make sure I said it right. Usually I lock it in, but so you
Rad for
mentioned,
short.
I was gonna say, do people call you Rad?
Yeah,
Okay. Because I didn't want to be like, hey, Rad, you know what I mean? I don't want to be like some cheesy radio DJ guy, but
I'd say I get called Rad probably more than I get called Radimus, just because it takes like 5 years to say my name. So
Radamus is a dope name though. I've never met a Radamus, so I think that's really cool that you got an awesome, unique name, man. There's like, I mean, you can just Google Mike Bauman, and there's like hundreds of us just in the United States. I even in Nashville, I can't believe there's other Mike Baumans here. So I think it's cool that you have a unique name. But you mentioned you were doing choir when you were young. So was that something like your parents got you in through church, or did you know at a young age that singing, like your voice, that was an instrument that you had from being a little guy?
No, it was just something I got into in like the first year of I so we kind of did like loose, not official choir in grade school, but it was more just like a general music class, so it's where you'd play the recorder or whatever it is, and then you'd sing songs, and that's your concert. And then once I joined, or once I came into like 6th grade, 7th grade, then I actually joined choir, and I did like choir camps and music theater camps and stuff like that. So I was into a lot of like the music and just the performing stuff before I ever even I was kind of starting to get into metal, but I wasn't like headfirst into it yet.
Yeah, you guys balance like, and I was gonna ask you that too, because obviously there's hardcore vocals that are part of what you guys are doing. Um, are you doing that too and the cleans, or is that kind of a mix of you and other members of the band?
It's a little bit of a it's mostly me, but JJ does a lot of like the low stuff.
But recorded, it's all rad.
Except I think we
Well,
layered.
there's some backing stuff that you can barely hear that's me, but the vast majority is all Radames.
And then live, we we used to split it just between me and JJ, but our bass player Steve, who couldn't be here tonight, but I know he wanted to show up, but he had to work. He recently came into the band, and he started helping us fill out the screams and even some of the clean vocals a little bit more.
I don't think people realize what a skill that is too. One of my, speaking of YouTube videos, I'm sure you guys are aware of Mr. Dines, but
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
he had one where he went to different people at some, waiting in line at some concert or whatever, and I had him try to do like their metal scream, and I don't think people realize how difficult it is to do that and maintain it. Jesse Leach is one of my favorite singers. I love that dude. Um, and I know in the early days he said he was just doing it all off of like feel or whatever, and he was blowing his voice out.
So that's why he hurt himself.
Yeah, I was about to say that's why that's another thing. Like just being able to do it in itself is one thing, but then you have to be able to do it without completely screwing your voice every night, which honestly I might still do. I'm not even really sure. I've never had a chance to test it more than one night. So remains to be seen.
So for you guys, have you had to technique it? Have you taken lessons with anybody to learn how to do that without just blowing it out? Or is it just something you've learned over time, just over the years, just being in different, either being in different bands or just figuring it out?
Part of it for me, part of it was figuring it out a little bit, and then it I kind of got like halfway there, and then I think around the time COVID hit and we had already released One Last Breath, I bought what is it, Zen of Screaming, the Melissa Cross DVD, and kind of started watching that quite a bit and doing some of the vocal warm-ups and exercises and stuff that's in there, and my screams have for sure gotten significantly better since I started doing that.
Can confirm that
Yeah,
I
she's like the heavy music whisperer, man.
right.
Oh, it's unreal. And she seems like the nicest lady in the world too.
I want her as my grandma.
Sorry, JJ, I didn't mean to step on you. So you
No,
you cross vids as well, or checking out some of her suggestions, or
no. So I started before, MySpace, before there was Technique, before there was Melissa Cross, before any of that shit. So I learned on my own. I still probably don't do it right, and I, haven't bothered really learning because I don't do it enough. But I learned a long time ago.
so who are some of your guys' favorites when it comes to that? I know you mentioned JJ Whitechapel.
Bill,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and then what was the record before last? He was doing some really
singing.
emotional too. Yeah, it was pretty awesome to hear that.
Yeah, he's a surprisingly very good singer too. So
Hickory Creek, is that the one I'm
Yeah, that was one of their songs off of the red one with the eyeball, whatever the fuck it's called.
That one put me in my feels, man. Hickory
Yeah.
Creek. I heard that, I was like, holy crap, he's coming
Yeah.
from a completely different place on this one.
Yeah. If you know his backstory, it's very sad.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was about his mom, right?
Both of his parents died. Tragically, I'm pretty sure. So.
Yeah, it was a heavy, heavy moment. But so okay, so Phil would be in there for you.
Yeah, mostly Phil. There's the Mitch Lucker, rest in peace.
Suicide Silence.
Yeah, Johnny from Johnny from Joffrey Cowboy, which are coming back. Holy shit. And then Phil from All That Remains too. I was pretty big into them back in the day. I don't know, that's good.
Fall of Ideal Records. Fall of Ideals.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I still love. It's such a great front to back listen. Such an awesome record.
Right. Same.
Radames, what about you, man? I know you mentioned. So Corey Taylor's had the pipes. I know, but
yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say he influenced any of my screams or anything though. My stuff comes more from maybe closer to high school. It was more like, you know, Jared from Bless the Fall, Danny from Asking, and then into like the stuff that I listen to now, like Spencer from Ice Nine Kills, the singer of Attila, Justin, and a lot like all those, and basically just any music that I listen to. Chris from Motionless and White. Just I adopt like little things that I like from all the people that I listen to, and just try to make it my own.
sure. Ice Nine Rise has been, their ascent's been really cool to see, I think.
Insane.
I talked to a band, they're called Execution Day out of Pittsburgh, and I think they had recorded some stuff with them. Um, and I know those guys like Ice Nine, like they've worked with other bands and stuff, like doing recording and things like that. But to see them touring with Metallica and doing that show and doing stadiums, that's so cool, man. I'm so happy for Spencer and all those dudes. That's really awesome.
So, funny story. Our first song that we ever put out has he doesn't play guitar for them currently, but he got let go right after, or I think he left right after the Silver Scream came out, or pretty shortly after the Silver Scream came out. Justin Deblieck was their ex guitar player, and he did some guest vocals on our first song that we put out. And then we actually I'm not sure if you are familiar with a band that used to be around in the Cleveland area called Affiance.
Yeah.
All the members of Affiance are coming back, and they rebranded into a band called Night Rider, and we're playing a show with them in Lakewood in December, and their drummer is actually the drummer of Ice Nine Kills.
Oh wow, I didn't realize Defiance like that Knight Rider was, because I saw that you guys are playing their album release show. I didn't realize the Knight Rider guys were formerly like Defiance. That's sick,
Yeah,
man.
it's just, I think they just wanted to. I don't know if they wanted to just make a new style of music. I'm assuming that's the case, but yeah, it's all the same guys from Affiance, just under a different name, making a different style of metal.
Because Justin was on it was Take This to Your Grave, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Was that the first one you guys put out, like November of 19? Was that the very first song?
The very, very first Static song we put out, and then I think we put out One Last Breath, the single, maybe the next month or a month later.
Should clarify that when he says we, he means him. Rad wrote and put out all 6 songs on that EP by himself before we ever joined.
Not by myself.
Okay, right. But you didn't have a band. It was you and Dan, you and the producer.
I mean, by the time everything came out, we had a band. But
sure.
Recorded, it was me and our producer Danny Cullman, and actually JD from Dreamwalker, a local band in our area, did. It was strange. I don't know why we did it this way, but he only did cymbals. He didn't do like the toms or the kicks or anything or the snare.
I'll tell you why.
He just did the cymbal performance.
It's because cymbals are hard to fake with MIDI.
Okay, that's fair.
How did you come up with the name The Static Wake? And I apologize if you've been asked this before, because I know sometimes bands are like, dude, with band names, we had to pick something, we threw some stuff against the wall, everything's taken. But I am always curious of the story though behind the band name.
There,
Pretty
yeah,
much it.
I mean, there really isn't a story. I honestly, oddly enough, I've never been asked this yet before.
Yeah.
But there, have we?
Yeah, we did one a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I couldn't remember if he asked that, but yeah, we didn't really. I just thought it sounded cool, and I was just kind of brainstorming ideas that I thought would work, and that was the best out of the bunch that came out. And I had a thing about not wanting it to be something that, you know, there are like 10 bands with the same name that are all listed on Spotify, and that you could all, like, if you Google this name, you'll find like 10 different bands. I didn't want that. I just wanted like one band name that nobody else would have, that you'd be able to find us just by clicking it.
Didn't want to put OH after it.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to Unity TX myself. Love that band, by the way.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's like I think one of the cool things about music today is that there's so much out there that you can get exposed to, but then that's kind of like it's like a double-edged sword. It's like the possibilities are infinite, and especially with the algorithms and stuff, and hey, Spotify thinks you like this, Apple Music thinks you like that, which is cool, but then within that, like kind of like what you're saying is how do you stand out? And it's
Right,
20,
exactly.
it's been around for a long time, so it's like, yeah, there's how many bands already exist with a certain name. Well, bummer. I'm sorry you've been asked that before, and I don't like to ask like noob questions, but I genuinely like the name The Static Wake. I thought it was cool. And Wraith, like if people know the meaning behind like the literal definition of what a wraith is, I didn't, there it kind of has
Honestly,
to
if I
tie in. So
if I was smart, I would just come up with a fake story, but it's kind of out there now that this is like just like a brainstorming name session. So I mean, you know, it is what it is. But
so you recorded most of it as far as the first EP, One Last Breath, with Danny Cullman, and you guys still work with him a lot, right? I mean, did he work on Sea of Fractured Dreams as well with you guys?
yeah, he did. Anything that we have recorded that is out currently was done by Danny. He Sea of Fractured Dreams, actually, it kind of came about in a weird way. We were doing single drops for a little while, and then the first half of the EP, or at least like there are a couple songs in the EP that were singles beforehand, but I think it was Sea of Fractured Dreams, Infinity, Wraith, and Terrified were all in the same session. And on those songs, we also had Danny is actually the guitar player for a prog metal band called Wide Eyes, and his drummer helped us kind of get the drum work for those 4 songs specifically. So it was kind of like a collaborative effort for those 4 songs in particular. But the rest of them were just, I think we dropped Leech in like 2020, 2021.
Old.
And then Natural Selection, I think maybe tail end of 2021, and Demons in 22, or maybe 23 even. It could have been like earlier this year. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So
it was a very impractical way to make an album. We were just kind of doing like single drops for the most part.
Leech is a banger of an opener, man. That's a great one. I think, I mean, and again, I enjoyed the whole thing, but I think if I had to pick some faves, the title track is awesome. I really love Wraith. Um, I really love Demons too. That's another one that's got kind of a cool, like I said, it's like that slow guitar moment. So I would those three I really like. But again, Terrified is great. Um, Infinity, the closeout one is awesome. Natural Selection. It's a great listen front to back. I think the way you guys sequence the tracks as far as the front to back listen, even though you had some of them like you said in the bag before you put it together, I think it's a cool front to back listen. So kudos to y'all on that, man. Was there
Thanks.
supposed to be a theme to it? When you put it together, even when you had the singles out before, did you have an idea in mind for that theme of the title, The Sea of Fractured Dreams?
Honestly, not really. I think we had, if I remember right, I could be getting this wrong because I have bad memory. I think I found the artwork first because we have like an art guy that we go to, and I think I found the artwork first and liked kind of the visual aspect of it, and then wrote the lyrics to that song based around like the idea of what I thought was going on in the artwork that we used for it.
Oh, cool. Is Kendall Johns, right? Is that who did it?
Yeah. Yeah, he's I'm not sure if they're still active. I think they are, but I could be mistaken. He's the singer of a band called Dead Crown, and they're really good. So, yeah, I love them. And he's done a good chunk of not all, but like most of the visual stuff for Static was him, as far as album artwork, logo, stuff like that, T-shirt designs.
Yeah, because the artwork for it is really sick. Like the dude standing above that lake, yeah, in between the mountains and stuff. It's really cool. And the visual for Wraith is really awesome. Was it Joel Lord I saw who
Well,
did?
that dude, we he charges way less than he probably should be charging for what he does. Let's just put it that way.
It was
He's
so
so good.
that like the way it plays out with the song, especially again, especially for like what the definition of a wraith is. I thought that was really cool, seeing like that like disintegrated figure kind of go through nature and stuff like that was, and like the city part. Yeah, it was sick, man. That was really cool.
Yeah, I love the way that turned out. That dude, that guy has some talent. The guy that made that video for sure.
Did you guys give him any idea, or did you just say, "Hey, here's a song, like go do your thing"?
If I remember right, I think it was just hey, here's the lyrics. Like here's the rough kind of idea of what the lyrical content is. Have at it.
And you said the theme, you saw the artwork first, and then the music came after that. Were you writing lyrics and then like pulling in JJ and the rest of the guys as far as music, or was it kind of a combination of both? Because I know some bands like they'll lay down the instrumental first and then they'll put the lyrics to it, and then some bands it's like it's kind of a mix and putting it all together.
It's a mix. So JJ writes and I write, independent of each other, and then we have like a Google Drive folder of just a bunch of ideas that I had that he had. Our guitar player Ben throws some stuff in there, and then we'll just check and kind of hit the ones that we think are gonna be the best for us to go with, and then uh sorry. Yeah, that's more or less. And then the lyrics are pretty much always me. I'm not have you guys written any, or has it been always all me?
No, I don't. I mean, I have some input when we go to record, but it's all you. Yeah, we mostly write the instrumentals first, mostly, I think, and then Red throws lyrics on top.
I would argue 100% of the time we write instrumental.
Well, it came out great, man, and I loved One Last Breath as well. Like Hollow, Take This to Your Grave, Lifeline. I think probably my favorites off of that one. But again, I love One Last Breath, Dead Inside, Alive. Is I thought it was a really good follow up, and it's been cool to see you guys making noise and getting to play some really sick shows. I saw the one with Attila, Until I Wake, Softspoken, who is out of Cincinnati, right?
Yep.
And then he is legend. I always geek out, and every time I see somebody that knows about them. My buddy Ryan, shout out Ryan from Tropic Bombs, one of my best buddies, man. And they're sick, by the way. You guys should check them out. It's the
Like,
bumper music I use for this show. But um, they kind of combine like elements of like reggae, hip hop, and metalcore. It's pretty awesome.
that
But
sounds interesting. What'd you say their name was again?
Tropic Bombs.
Tropic Bombs? Okay, I'll have to check them out for sure.
Yeah, he's Ryan's awesome too. He started out as a drummer, but he's got a hell of a voice too. Raps, sings, does the metalcore, screams. But He Is Legend is his favorite, and he put me onto them. Gosh, probably about a decade ago, and I've gotten a chance to see them live a couple times, and they got a chance to play in Toledo with them. I think at least twice, I believe. Um, they had shows where He Is Legend came through, and I just feel like that's a criminally underrated band. Like the album "It Hates You" is sick. "Suck Out the Poison," even the new stuff, man. I've been really digging it. Was it fun to play with those guys?
That was like I had backstory. I had never heard of He Is Legend before that. We got the offer to play the show, and I checked them out, and I brought it to those guys, to the rest of my band, and I thought it was awesome. And I guess I didn't realize how big their fan base actually was, because we got to the show to play and it was just insane compared
Packed.
Yeah, it was packed. It was ridiculous. And yeah, and they seemed like I'm pretty sure we didn't have any conversation with them, but just from watching their interactions with people and watching them on stage, they seem like the nicest group of guys. And then Greyhaven was on that show too, and Greyhaven's an awesome band. And that was, I think, our friends in Dead Cassette were on that show too, and so it was just a good night. It was a really good night.
And Dead Cassette's playing the Knight Rider gig with you guys too, right?
They are, yep, yeah, they are. It's Dead Cassette, Between Home and Serenity, which is, I'm trying to remember. They made a lot of noise in, I want to say, like 03, 04, back in the earlier like MySpace days and stuff like that. And then I think there's a DJ. I think it's DJ Devil with 2 V's. And I think I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. I just know that whoever it is playing. I don't know if it's in between all the sets, but definitely in between us and Knight Rider.
Oh man. And you guys had your album release show on the 14th, because it came out on Friday the 13th, right? And it was at the Foundry, which I know that venue is a pretty historic venue. Had a lot of really awesome shows over the years. What was that gig like a couple weeks ago?
It was actually just this past Saturday.
Hey, just this past Saturday. Sorry, I'm getting my time more sleep.
Honestly, it was probably one of my favorite shows I've ever played. It was just so active, and it was just a good vibe through the whole night. It was a costume party, so everybody was dressed in costumes. Yeah, it was an awesome night. I think that, and whenever we opened up for Escape the Fate, are probably the 2 best shows that I have in my memory of just any of my bands that I've ever been in playing.
They were rowdy.
Very rowdy.
Is the scene in Cleveland pretty collaborative? It sounds like you guys got some cool, buddies in other bands, but how is it as far as the music scene there, both within like the rock metal realm and the other genres? Is it pretty like good camaraderie?
I would say so. There's I can't speak for all of the scene, because I think we're in a specific kind of subset of the scene where it's, it's all of us are friends, and like we brought at the He Is Legend show, we brought Dead Cassette singer up. We brought the singer of my old band, who's still active, up at our headliner just the other day. And yeah, I mean, everybody in our scene are pretty much good friends. And it's really good. It's really like, it seems a lot healthier than some other out of state scenes that I know about. So
Yeah, nobody really has an ego. It's pretty cool.
That's good to hear. Yeah, because I always feel like, Jamie Josta was the first one I heard say it, but I love the saying, high tides raises all ships. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody's doing good, that's good for everybody else because then that's going to be a great show. People like, if there's noise about a couple of bands and they get on the same show, then that just makes everything so much better. Like my buddies in Tropic Bombs that I was telling you about, when I was covering the local music scene there, when I used to write for Toledo Free Press, they would every summer they would do a Midsummer Meltdown show, and they just brought it back this year for the first time in a few years with COVID and everything, and would always pack a venue called Frankie's Inner City, which has a really cool music history. Everybody from like POD to the Smashing Pumpkins, I think the White Stripes, like everybody and their brother has played there over the years. Just this cool small venue on the east side in Toledo. Um, so it's good to hear that it's a collaborative scene, especially in a city like Cleveland that obviously has its own rich music history in different genres. You know what I mean? Like I'm glad that it's you guys have friends and other bands and that there's good local shows because that's important. I think if you're just trying to be like king of the hill, like that's not really like the move. I think the move is just do whatever that it is that you do really, really well and people will gravitate to it.
yeah, I feel like there is a part there's definitely like, I don't know how active it is now because I honestly am really not a part of it. There definitely is a part of the scene that is very like King of the Hillish, like you're saying, but the bands that we kind of associate with on a regular basis are all friends, and everybody loves each other and comes out to each other's shows and supports each other and raises each other up and stuff like that.
It's great, man. Well, Radames JJ, and the time we have left, I just want to say thanks again so much for doing this. Like I said, just being a fellow Ohio boy myself, it's really cool. You guys have made a new fan out of me since Johnny told me about y'all, man. And I love what you're doing. But being in the place that you guys are in now with these shows that you've played, both locally and with these national acts, honing your craft. I mean, what's sort of on the horizon you think over the next few months now that you have this album out and you're going into 2024, as far as any maybe touring, um, regional gigs, playing in Cleveland, playing Ohio, like what do you guys kind of have on the horizon that you can talk about?
We really don't have too much that's like set in stone right now. We have I think the only surefire thing is the Night Rider show that we have. I think it's December 8th at the Roxy, which is a venue that just opened in Lakewood. Um, After that, um, we haven't really discussed it too much yet. I know I kind of want to get, like, we just released the album and I'm already starting to itch to get back into like writing mode and try to get at least a single or two done. Um, and then beyond that, fingers crossed, I would love to play, Columbus, Cincy, or go out to like Detroit or Pittsburgh and kind of do some more, get out of the Cleveland bubble a little bit and just experience it and see how everything goes.
Yeah, man. Hop on, hop on anything cool that comes up. It's normally what we do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really awesome bands in the Midwest doing their thing right now too. I don't know if you guys are familiar with After Hour Animals out of Milwaukee, but I've had them on the show. That was another band that Johnny put me in touch with, and they came through and did a show in Murfreesboro, which is another town outside of Nashville, and those are great guys. Um, so yeah, maybe I could try to like link you up with them because they did a string of shows earlier this uh earlier this summer. Went down to like Florida, played Tennessee, and I think they had a couple other ones. I don't remember if it was like Iowa. I know they did one in Wisconsin. I'm pretty sure where they're from, but those are really good dudes. And that was another thing I wanted to ask you. Like, obviously like Miss May Eyes out of Ohio. Like there's a bunch of really awesome bands in heavy music that have, come out of Ohio. The Devil Wears Prada. Like what's it mean for you guys to be a band that has that potential to be another one of those bands to come out of Ohio in heavy music? Because there's something to the water where we're from, and I'm not just saying that because we're all Ohio guys here, but there's been a lot of really great heavy bands that have come out of Ohio. The Plot and You is doing their thing, like a bunch of them.
Beartooth, Attack.
It is
Yeah,
honestly kind of scary how many good bands come out of Ohio.
Ohio is very good at metalcore.
Like not even metalcore. Like Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails and Marilyn Manson are both from Ohio too.
Oh, really? I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly where, but I know they're from Ohio. Yeah, there's like, I don't know if it's just because Cleveland's like the rock and roll city or whatever, but like, yeah, there a suspicious amount, a very strange amount of really good music comes out of Ohio.
Starset's area too, right? Didn't they originate Columbus? Starset?
Oh yes, dude. Oh my god, I'm glad you mentioned that. I absolutely love. I think I saw them live for the first time, I want to say like last winter, and it was probably one of the best shows I've ever seen in my entire life. It was awesome. Yeah, they're from, I think, Columbus. Yeah.
We have a unfair competitive advantage just from living here.
Yeah, and like 21 Pilots, I think those dudes are Columbus as well. There's another band I think out of Cincy that's making noise right now. I think they're called Envy, like ENVY.
I've heard of them, never listened to the music yet, but I've heard that name being thrown around quite a bit recently.
So yeah, it's cool, man. And I think you guys you keep doing your thing, you'll be making noise like the rest of them. I'm not just saying that because you took time to do the show, man. Like I really enjoy what you guys are putting out. They're not active anymore, but check out Once Over too. They they're pretty sick from my hometown of Toledo. And those guys, some of those guys in that band formed a new band called Star Sleeper. And had one or two songs on 89X out of Detroit. They feature regional bands and stuff, but they're sick. But yeah, I'm a big fan of it. Sea of Fractured Dreams is really sick, and Wraith I feel like is one of those songs too where it's got that awesome chorus, but it still has. I feel like it's one of those crossover songs where like the heavy fans will really like it, but I feel like the people who are into the more maybe melodic stuff, they'll really dig that chorus too. I think you'll bring in the people who maybe aren't into the more abrasive stuff. It's a good song that I think will resonate with a lot of people. I mean, even the comments on the video, I was looking at it, was like, I mean, there's numerous comments on there, and again, 14,000 views in what because Wraith came out, what was it, September 20th? I think you guys released that like 2 or 3 weeks maybe before the record came out. So that's pretty awesome to see those kind of numbers on the video, man.
Yeah, that's we're hyped about it, and I think JJ feels the same. I mean, I'm not going to speak for him because he's right here, but it's definitely my favorite song on the album.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I wrote that as so the clean chord progression that is in the beginning, that's how it started. And it started with that chord progression and got bouncy and heavy, but also pretty.
Very
Yeah. It's great because like I love a good sad song. Like I can't just sit here in front and act like, oh, I'm just heavy to the core. Like I love a good heavy sad song too. Like Hickory Creek is a great heavy sad song, and like
Sure is.
that is a very awesome. The intro of Wraith is a very good, very very good, clean, kind of sadder vibe, and then it gets like that atmospheric and it like blows up, which is really cool. So, kudos, man. Job well done on.
Thanks, man. Danny made that come to life. It was
Absolutely.
that it hits. I don't know how he does it. He's so much better than me, but he made that hit so hard.
He's like, I feel like he's a lot of the Cleveland bands that work with him, or like, Cleveland, Akron bands around that area that work with. He's probably a lot of their secret weapon because he is like a god tier songwriter, crazy guitar player, and like an amazing producer all rolled into one.
Shout out to
Shout out.
Danny. Yeah, it's almost got like a cinematic-y feel to it too. I mean, it's a really cool, like, ethereal cinematic-y vibe to that song too, man. So I'm excited for you dudes. Well, Radames JJ, I'll get you out on this, man. Everybody definitely check out the Static Wake, but with the theme of the show just being perseverance and moving forward. Um, I mean, I didn't get into the lyrics too much on this one because I was just geeking out with you guys about just Ohio and where you guys are. But I know that those themes are in your lyrics as well, or at least it sounds like it listening to each record a couple of times. Anything you want to pass on to the listeners, not to turn you into a therapist, but just in terms of things that you've been through in your life that you feel like might help anybody out there who's struggling right now with whatever it is, anxiety, depression, maybe they're just feeling like they're stuck in a rut, like anything that you feel like, hey, this worked for me, I'll share that with people who are out there and maybe need a little pick me up.
Honestly, for me, because I know I tend to get into ruts pretty frequently. Luckily, they're normally never like anything crazy, but whenever it does happen, it's what works for me. Trying to move forward is just the fake it till you make it kind of attitude, where you just like, if you pretend to be happy, then eventually you'll get back there. I know that's probably, maybe not the healthiest thing, and therapy might be a good option for something like that would work better, but that's just what I do. But yeah, like I'm not really a therapist or anything, so I probably wouldn't take my advice, but
Me either. I'm god awful at that stuff. But it gets better. Time heals all. Probably what I'd say.
I think that's sage advice, man. Yeah. And again, I wasn't trying to put y'all on the spot, but I think that's just that's part of why I do this too. And like we were talking about with music, I'm sure music is probably therapy for you guys in a lot of ways too, as musicians, like it's everybody struggles with things. We all have those shadow things that either we're ashamed of or just difficult things that we deal with. I feel like I can gab with the best of them, but there's also a lot of things I don't share with people because you don't want to be like a burden to other people, or you don't want to, you don't want to feel like the sad person or the complaining person. But we're all human and we experience a breadth of emotions, and I think it's important for people to know they're not alone in their struggle and to find healthy outlets for it, whatever that is, whether it's music, whether it is therapy, talking to somebody, talking to your friends, spending time with loved ones, all those things, man. So, um, but yeah, dudes, I really appreciate the time. This has been awesome. I'm excited for you guys. And I'll obviously put up the links in the podcast description. But for people who aren't aware, let them know where they can find you.
on stage. It should be everything / or at the Static Wake. So like, facebook.com/the Static Wake. Actually, you know what? Just go to linktree.com/the Static Wake. You'll find everything.
There you go. That works.
Sweet. Well, Radames JJ, thanks again so much, man, for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it. I apologize again that I had the time mixed up originally. I usually try to be a pro over here, even though I'm a one-man band, and I was traveling, and the last month and a half's been kind of crazy just with family stuff, grandma passing away. So I'm trying to keep all my ducks in a row, man. But genuinely, it's not just lip service. I really enjoy what you guys are doing. Listen to See a Fractured Dreams a couple times today, man, and it doesn't get old. It's a great front to back listen, and I think it's a great progression of what you guys did a couple years ago with One Last Breath. So keep doing your thing. I'm happy to see the shows, and don't be strangers, man. Keep in touch.
Awesome,
For
dude.
sure.
Appreciate you again having us on, man.
Yeah, man. We appreciate it. Thank you.
All righty dighty, there you have it. That was my conversation with JJ and Radames of the band The Static Wake out of Cleveland, Ohio. Make sure you go follow these guys on Instagram at The Static Wake. The links to all of their stuff will be in the podcast description for this episode. So just scroll down to the bottom of that podcast description, hit those links, and go follow and support The Static Wake. You will not be disappointed if you love to headbang, kids. If you love metalcore, if you love hard rock, if you love modern metal, all that good stuff, you will love The Static Wake. Once again, like I said at the jump, their record Sea of Fractured Dreams is out now everywhere where you get your music. It just came out in October. Some of my favorites off of that one, definitely Wraith. Like I said, that's probably my favorite song of 2023 so far. I love it front to back. I've literally put it on repeat at times because I think it's such a beautiful song. But I also love Demons. I love the title track. Leech is a great opener to the record, and also go back and listen to One Last Breath as well, man. There's some great moments on that one as well, and just a big fan of what these guys are doing. And if you're in Ohio, once again, like I said at the jump, they are playing the Knight Rider album release show on December 8th in Lakewood, Ohio at the Roxy at Mahal's. I'll put the link in the description for that one as well. So you guys who are interested in getting tickets, go out and see them perform live, man. But I just want to say thank you once again to JJ and to Radames for taking the time to come on the podcast. I really appreciate you guys stopping by the show. And once again, apologize for the mix up on the time. It's one of those things with Central Time and Eastern Time and and scheduling things. And the last couple of months have just been kind of wild with some family stuff and my grandma's passing. So really appreciate you guys hopping aboard the pirate ship with me and telling me and the listeners of the show more about the Static Wake and what you guys are doing. And once again, I'm a fan. I love heavy music. I love hardcore, metalcore. I love new metal. I love death metal. I love deathcore. I love all the genres and subgenres of heavy music, but I'm a big fan of what you guys are doing. And I think it's really cool, too, that you are continuing the legacy of so many awesome bands, especially in heavy music coming out of Ohio. So continue to do your thing. And I'm going to keep banging the drum for you guys as well. So once again, everybody go follow these guys on Instagram at The Static Wake and go check out the links in the podcast description for all their music. Upcoming shows, once again, December 8th at the Roxy at Mahal's for the Knight Rider album release show. That is going to be a wrap on this week's episode, you guys. I have a tendency to rant, but I want to be succinct at the end here because I don't want to drive you guys nuts because I ran it a little in the beginning talking about turkey and football and all of that. But for real, man, the holidays are my favorite time of the year. And I know for some people they're tough. I know one of my best buddies, Dave. It's a tough time for him because this Christmas time will be 2 years since his dad, Big Dave, passed away. May he rest in peace. So I know some people go through that, man. I know my dad's dad died in December. Um, Way to bring the mood down, Mike. Um, but for real, I'm just saying. My dad's dad died in December when he was like 18. His first year out of high school. So I know for some people the holidays can be tough, and sometimes there's family drama, and sometimes there's friend drama, and some people don't like going back home, or the hustle and bustle of being at the airport, or sitting in traffic with everybody who's going to see people. So I guess what I'm trying to say is no matter what your situation is, whether you love the holidays, whether you don't love them for whatever those reasons are, whether things are cool with people in your family or your friends, whether they're not, just make the most of it, man. We get one life to live, right? So do your best every day to try to leave people with either a smile or a laugh, whether that's intentional or unintentional. Uh, but just make the most of every single day. I'm 35. I'm not going to wax poetic because I got a hell of a lot to learn, and I hope that I'm on this planet and this plane of existence for many years to come. But I'm learning how much every day really is a gift, and how you got to appreciate every moment that you have. And it's sad when you go to work or you go run errands or you're just out and about and you see how many people are sleeping under bridges and sitting in a lawn chair at the corner of some exit off a major highway just trying to scrap up some change so they can get something to eat that day. We just really take for granted that we flip a switch and the lights come on and we turn a faucet and the water comes on, and we've got a warm bed to sleep in and a hot meal to eat, and instant coffee makers and all this stuff that smartphones that connect us with people all over the world. And You know, we so many people unfortunately use it to tear other people down, or crap on a band that they don't like, rather than just not paying attention to them because they don't like them. They take the time to actually comment something mean and say you guys suck. Like, there's a lot of negative stuff out there. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't feed into that. Make the most of every single day, because I'm gonna tell you, man, like, I remember being a young pup like it was yesterday, and I'm not old, but I'm 35, man. And I remember turning 30, and pretty soon I'm going to be looking at a birthday cake in front of me, and there's going to be a 4 and a 0 there, and I'm going to go, holy shnikes, man. I'm 40 now. I'm halfway done with this bad boy based on my life expectancy. So make the most of the holidays, you guys. Make the most of it, and try to put a smile on somebody's face. Find the silver lining, and do that in everyday life too, man. And this is really a great time of the year, and it shouldn't be the only time of the year that we focus on it, but there is more of an emphasis on it, in terms of charitable matching, and um, you know nonprofits out there who match donations. I know Second Harvest here in Middle Tennessee, where I live, matches people's donations, I think, throughout the holiday season. So, try to give back too. That's one thing I think about. Whenever I start to focus too much on myself and my problems, I remind myself, number one, of everything I just said, how lucky I am to have the life that I have, but also how many other people out there are struggling way more than me. And it's a great time to give back, and look through your closets and go, shoot, I haven't worn that in 5 years, but that could keep somebody warm. Or, hey, when I'm at the grocery store, I'm going to pick up a couple of canned goods, and, support the local food drive at work, or go to the local shelter, things like that, man. There's always things we can be doing to help other people. And when you do that stuff, it makes you feel better. Don't do it because you want to post it on social media and let everybody know how wonderful you are. Do it because it's the right thing to do, because it just feels good to help people and be a good person. We need more laughter, we need more joy, we need more happiness, we need more good people in this world, man. So yeah, do your thing, and enjoy the holidays. And as my grandpa always said, keep the faith and be kind to one another. Once again, go follow the dudes in the Static Wake on Instagram at the Static Wake. Go check out Sea of Fractured Dreams. Continue to watch the music videos and keep up to date with the shows they've got coming up. And go check out the visualizer for Wraith, because it's sick. And if you'd like to follow my goofy self, you can follow me on Instagram at March 4th Pod, on YouTube at March 4th Pod. Maybe coming soon TikTok. I don't know if my old man self can figure that stuff out and start doing some video clips. And my website is march4th.podbean.com. So if you did like what you heard, please take the time to tell a friend, like and subscribe, check in with me on Instagram. All those things help the pod get out to more people. And that's what I want, man. I want more people to get put onto the Static Wake. And I take a lot of pride in this show that I do have the opportunity to put people on to dope new artists, or artists like the Static Wake, who've been around for a couple of years and are continuing to make some noise and grow their audience as well. I take a lot of pride in that, and helping put people on to music that maybe they weren't aware of before. But there's so much good stuff out there, and I'm fortunate in my little corner of the world here with this show with March 4th to get to share these folks with you guys, because they're awesome. So yeah, man, I appreciate everybody, and I hope that everybody has a great week. And if you celebrate it, I hope that you and yours have a very, very happy Thanksgiving. Go Lions. Once again, keep the faith and be kind to one another. Courtesy of the Static Wake, here is their single, my favorite of 2023, Wraith. Peace.
Swept away.